Hello everybody and welcome back to Ruler 101. Today we're going over the Princess of Light, the heroine of the story, mother of Milliam. In her younger days. No, it's not the Lumia you know and love, it's the Sacred Princess of Guidance. Boom! There we go. Just want to jump right into this one because I had a lot of fun looking up cards that work with her. Honestly, it's a deck idea I tried before, as it ended up. So, she's a ruler, princess, white, J-activate, pay white, play this ability only if you control Mirius, the levitating stone. J-activate, pay 2 white and 1. So, normal J-activate is 3, which isn't bad, but if you control Mirius, which I will go over directly after this card, at least I'll put it up for a second, because I'm not using it in the deck. However, it is a light stone that, for 1 light and resting it, you can give a Resonator flying. But, besides that, she has an activate ability. Resting her gives you 300 life. Now, I wanted to find the best way to exploit her front side, because 3-will is kind of an investment for like, just flipping. You don't want to you don't want to go hard for it. However, her backside is kind of like, it's just completely different. And let's see why. Right now. Flip it! I said flip it! I'm not good at editing. I can't flip it. Here we go! Lumia, the creator of hope. I would just actually, before I get into this, I want to touch randomly on Force of Will's old penchant for naming their cards, like their front ruler, their ruler sides never had a name in common with the flip side, with the J ruler side, and that makes searching for them really hard. Thank you for changing that, Force of Will. Anyway, Lumia, creator of hope, attack 1000, defense 1000. She is a savior and a human. Also, this is one of my favorite ruler arts in the entire game. Lumia herself is actually just a fantastic character design with her mismatched colors that somehow blend together while still being stark in contrast. Anyway, continuous. Once per turn, you may play a card from your removed area. And you have an activate ability for 0. If there are no cards in your removed area, remove the top 3 cards of your main deck from the game face down. You may look at them at any time. Okay, so from my understanding of the rules, the you may look at them at any time is once this activates, you can just look at them whenever. That means you can play them with her ability. The activate pay 0 is nice that it doesn't say just once per turn, but I'm also kind of because it's not once per turn, because I would love to be like 3 next turn, 3 next turn, 3, but there has to be no cards whatsoever. Anyway, that's so you can see her front side gains you life, so you want kind of a life gain strat, but her backside is just so unique and cool. At least it was until they reprinted the same effect that works better with her future version. Aw. But let's get into the deck that I built. It utilizes one of the newest cards, Acolyte of the Sun, a 200/200 human resonator for 1 white. Produce 1 white will. She is the mana dork for white, and I love that white has a mana dork. I love it so much. It's so cool. White usually needs some sort of kick, you know, some sort of something to just go, oh, boom. Just to get out their strong stuff, because white's early game is super weak. Like, early game white is, in general, very weak. Like, there's a couple cards that do a little bit, but outside Panda Spam, you're really not going to have a turn 1 or 2 big plays. So aggro just kind of wrecks you. But this Acolyte helps you get to that late game faster, and then leaves a white will up for like a combat trick, like maybe a Zero's Magic Light or something. Which isn't in this deck, curiously enough, but I usually just don't put that in decks where I'm not running 0. Maybe I should change that. Anyway, the next card is Storytelling Bard, a card I wanted to use since I first saw it. It is a Resonator human for 1 white will, attack 300, defense 300, and it has rest, you gain 200 life. As I would later find out, that life gain just isn't enough. Like, you cannot keep yourself fully alive with this, so it's really not relevant in decks that aren't super life gain focused. However, this one, it works. And it's actually really nice. Resting to gain the 200 life will proc abilities. That you'll see later. And it just combos with Lumia's front side to gain you just buku life. I should also like to point out that the most expensive card in this technically costs 5. However, that's a technical cost because it's part of an awakening. Mostly this deck is low cost, low impact, so you can flip early and not really like worry about it. But our next card is another 1-drop, Angel of Hope. Attack 200, defense 300, flying and drain for 1 white. I think I already said that, I'm dumb. Anyway, whenever you do Judgment of a Ruler, invert this card. On its other side, it is a insert power and toughness here Angel Resonator with flying, because I forgot to look up what it was because I'm sloppy. But it doesn't matter because the front side's really what I'm focused on, the judgment part. Anyway, it's front side, flying, drain. Whenever you gain life, put a 100-100 counter on this card. That is the part that I really love because these things can get huge fast. They can get super huge. For example, turn 1, you play an Angel of Hope. Turn 2, your Angel of Hope swings at your opponent's face, deals 200 damage, gains a +1/+1 counter. It is now a 3/4. Then on turn 2, you also play 2 bards. Those bards then rest. You wait until your turn, you draw. During the recovery phase, you rest both bards, gaining 2 instances of life, turning it from a 3/4 into a 5/6. And then in your main phase, you rest both bards once again, boosting it up to a 7/8. And that's just turn 3. And if you get multiples out, you're gaining multiple instances of drain. Lumia can always trigger it, so that's cool. But besides from that, it's just a very strong card. Oh, I should mention its flip side has when it inverts, if it has a +1/+1 counter on it, you can destroy target Resonator with attack less than it. So boosting it up also helps it for that later on flip. Our next card is a 2-cost, Soul, Envoy of Light, the staple of mono white decks. Attack 400, defense 400, and when it enters the field, reveal the top card of your Magic Stone deck. If it's a basic light Magic Stone, or non-special light Magic Stone, I don't know why they dropped basic for non-special, it's longer. But if it's a non-special light Magic Stone, put it in your field. So you can only run basics when you're running Soul. It's sad, but hey, it works. He's the card that I said works with our future version better because because turn 2, you play him, you get a stone, then you rest that stone, and play I think it's Shining Light, the Kaguya card that rests a Resonator and draws a card. You rest him, then Lumia's front side flickers him, and you get another stone, and then you're going into turn 3 with 5 stones, 6 potential. No, 4 stones, 5 potential, because turn 2, you soul, then you soul again, and then your next turn 5. Yeah, there we go. I can math! But now we're on to the real meaty card, the card that does Lumia's effect, but also lets you do, other Lumia effects. It works with her J-Ruler side and with herself. Lumia, Saint of Creation, 1 white and 1 for a 400/700 human. When this card enters your field, remove the top card of your deck from the game face down. If your J-Ruler has Lumia in its name, so if you're Judgmented, only if you're Judgmented it does this, sadly. If your J-Ruler has Lumia in its name, remove the top 3 cards of your deck from the game instead. You may look at them at any time. You may play cards removed by this card. Okay. So she enters, she'll remove the top, then you can play it, she essentially draws you a card. However, if you're Judgmented, which is why this deck is low cost, because you want to Judgment as early as possible, if you're Judgmented, Lumia then removes the top 3 cards. So, Nice. You may play cards removed by this card. It overwrites, well, if you play them with Saint of Creation, your Creator of Hope can still play other things. Your Creator of Hope, if you've like played Lumia Saint of Creations and say they get exploded, normally you completely lose access to those cards. However, with Lumia Creator of Hope, you still have access to those cards because you can always look at them. So that's kind of her backside strategy card. It's the basic Lumia. With the other Lumia, it was the Lumia engine where you play her, remove 3, play what you wanted, swing with her, blink her, remove 3 more, and you'd basically draw your entire deck and have it. It was bull. It was bull, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite decks of all time. Probably run a classic deck with it. Classic or I forget the other name. I've been calling it classic too long. Anyway, that thing that was in the online GP. Next card is the Sacred Knight of the North. Attack 500, defense 600 for 1 white and 1. When a J ruler enters your field, so when you judgment, gain 500 life. Nice boost. But whenever you gain life, this card gains plus 200, plus 0 until end of turn. That is really cool because just on this front side, if you're doing Lumia things, or if you're playing Storytelling Bard, or dealing damage with Angel of Hope, it's just gonna build itself up and become huge, and explode in the face, and be awesome. Now, there is a combo I should briefly mention that uses this card, plus a card from Vingolf 2. The card from Vingolf 2, I forget the name, however, it costs 2 darkness and 2, and it gives the added J Resonator, plus 400, and whenever this card deals damage to a Resonator, deals combat damage, deals damage in general, you gain life equal to the same amount, which is really good for Sacred Knight, because it deals damage, you gain life, gets bigger, then you recover it somehow, and you do it again, and it becomes bull. Bull, I say! There is a Sacred Knight of the South, but she's boo-boo, and I don't run her. Then we have Grim, Avenger of Fairy Tales. 2 white for a 500 Fairy Tale human. Enter, choose target Resonator. Remove it from the game if it's darkness, specific darkness 8. Otherwise, it gains +2/+2 until end of turn. He's a cool 2-drop buff sort of thing, but his Awakening is what you really use it for. Enter, Awakening, white, enter. If your J Ruler is Sacred Princess of Guidance, or Lumia, the Creator of Hope, J Resonators your opponent controls lose all abilities until end of turn. That's all of your opponent's stuff, J Ruler included. They lose all their stuff, and his enter still works. So you can buff a thing, remove all your opponent's abilities for the turn, and then they're just not gonna function. Which is really good for shit like Barrier, because this is a blanket effect, so it doesn't target. So, remove Barrier, then hit him. Nice. Next up, we have the big card. The big boy. Oh, I was wrong. It costs, what is that? 7 total if you do it the wrong way. Alright. Abel, Avenger of Gods. 2 white and 1 for a Resonator human, 700 with target attack. That's precision for you newbies. Thank you. Incarnation, 2 white, so you can banish 2 white Resonators to play them for free. You can still awaken when you do that because you are playing the card with Incarnation. He has Awakening, 2 white and 2. Destroy all other Resonators. He is a super wipe. He enters the field, destroys all of the Resonators. Which is good because if you Incarnation him, you're losing your stuff. But then if you pay his Awakening after Incarnation, it's just total cost 4 and it wipes everything. So, really good. Really nice card. It's just like with the souls and the acolytes, it's easier than you would think to hit his Awakening. But then let's move on to the chants. The 2 chants that are in the deck. The Light of Lumia, which is Lumia's tribal spell. Or, no, her J-Ruler specific spell. It is a spell chant instant. Old style. It's a chant with quick cast. 1 white and 3. If your J-Ruler is Sacred Princess of Guidance or Lumia, the Creator of Hope, you may pay 2 less to play this card. So it's a total cost 1 white and 1 in this deck. Choose one. Rest all non-light, non-fairy tale resonators. Or remove target non-light, non-fairy tale resonator from the game. This hits a lot more than you'd think. It doesn't hit white, so it's kind of like, eh. But yeah. Yeah. This is really good. So, for the most part, this card is going to rest all your opponent's stuff so you can get a big swing in. But besides that, being able to just spot remove something that's not a fairy tale or not light is also nice. And remember, this card costs 2, so resting your opponent's board for 2 is actually really good. Especially when you combine it with a big board state because you've been spamming out resonators all day. Wahaha! Ooh, I don't know how viable this card is because a lot of Wanderer players play Grim Fairy Tales, so. But I like it in the deck. I like the flavor of it. I like that it's a spell that's runnable in other things that isn't super specific, but at the same time, it's not. It gets a huge buff from being used with a certain resonator. Next up, we have Resuscitating Will, the chant. This is mainly so that you can get big swings in with your angels. You can get big swings in with your Knight of the North. Like, say you gave it a bunch of buffs and you swung and it dealt a big chunk of damage. Then you Resuscitating Will it, and boom. Anyway, this is a 1 white will, quick cast, recover target J resonator. So you go, okay, I got my 2 bards. Before recovery, I'll rest them. Knight of the North gets +4. It's now a 9/6. Okay, then I'll rest my bards again, and now it's a 13/6. I'll play a Light of Lumia and swing at your face with 1300 damage. Then I'll Resuscitating Will and swing at your face for a total of 2600 damage. Mint. Absolute mint and beautiful. Just in general, it's a really good card. Anyway, next up we have the super buff, Gloria's Castletown. 1 white and 1 for an addition field castle. I don't know why they bothered. They gave a lot of things castle or tower or all kinds of weird addition subtypes, but they never used them, which is sad to me. Anyway, whenever you gain life, target resonator gains +300/+300 until end of turn. This is a super buff, or a super good buff, because if you have 1 Storytelling Bard, 1 Knight of the North, and 1 Glorious Castletown, here's what you can do. Before recovery, rest the Bard, target the Sacred Knight with Gloria, and Sacred Knight will buff himself, so we'll get a total bonus of +5/+3, so he will become a 1900. Then after recovery, you rest said Bard again, turning him into a 15/12, and then you swing at the face, and then you Resuscitating Will him to swing at the face for a total of 3000 damage, because that's cool. That by the way is what is it? I think it's turn 4, so it's kind of slow, but that's the last card in the deck. It's just the Lifegain deck. I've always wanted to find some way to abuse Glorious Castletown. My first incarnation of this, I used Glorious Castletown with Shadow Faria. She was the one that could awaken for darkness and destroyed a resonator when she entered. But then she had, whenever this card deals damage, gain that much life. And then I'd equip the Bloody Axe to her, which gives her +400/+0, and whenever it attacks, it deals 200 damage to every resonator. So I'd use that with Gloria's, then spam out a big board. Faria would swing, it'd ping all of my board, which I'd have like 4 resonators out. It'd ping whatever my opponent had, which was normally 2 to 3. And then I'd target Faria with a metric ton of Glorious Castletown, and she'd end up being massive. It was beautiful. But this is a mono white deck, no room for Faria. By the way, speaking of the deck list. Woo! It's okay. It needs some buffs, like I said. Zero's Magic Light, maybe. Magic Sweets. Just to name a couple. I just went bare bones basic. There's always room for improvement with all of these decks, and I would love to see like a super life spammy version, or a version that flips like turn 2 and then spams out Lumia's remove cards. It would also be kind of cool to see like a what's the card? To use the Otherworld stuff, like Allosaurus's things. So you're removing stuff, but at the same time, Lumia's being able to play it again. I think that would be really cool to see. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!